It's just that cardio at the start of it, that's what killed me.
You did 1 minute.
I know.
Well, there must be something worse than this. Oh, that has been one of the stupidest ideas I've ever came up with.
You actually look really good.
Actually?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's hilarious. I love when people are able to see the humor in their relationship. And I love it when couples are able to receive constructive feedback and not be offended. The idea of, Paul coming up with this genius plan to let Tasha throw out 3 of his items that she doesn't like is hysterical. The fact that, Arthur took Laura to the gym knowing that he hasn't seen the inside of a gym in years is hilarious. And also, I love Ross and Thomas. I love the fact that he went and he shopped for himself, even though he was meant to be shopping for her. He also got something that would make him happy. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome back. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subs. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight UK, Season 17, Episode 22. Another week, same old drama with Peggy and George, and it's like it's getting old. If they have nothing else, can they just sit quietly and focus on their relationship? If they feel like they can't build anything, then they need to go home and stop wasting our time. I think the other thing that annoyed or that sort of upset George is the fact that a couple that he knew were not doing very well at the start and eventually put in the work and are now intimate, and yet he's still stuck in the same place despite putting in the work. I think seeing how far Ross and Thomas are, especially when they were discussing their relationship at the commitment ceremony, you could see his reaction when they spoke about their intimacy. So you have this conversation about them discussing their intimacy and what they plan to do to make their relationship better, because George feels, some type of way about the fact that, Peg is withholding intimacy from him. They then receive a note, all the couples receive a note to say this is the love-hate week, and they're going to be asked to write 3 things they don't like about their partner and 3 things they love about their partner. I think that's amazing. I think it's good because it allows you to see where you're going, whether it's worth continuing to put the effort in or whether it's time for you to pack it up and go home. And so first up, they start off with my 2 favorite couples, which is amazing. They start off with Paul and Tasha. And, Paul's thing is I think his love language is physical touch. And because Tasha has already mentioned, even in her little monologue before she got married, she did mention that in her family, there are certain things that they struggle with. And, expressing affection was one of them. And so she was able to receive that and she could understand it, because Paul was saying every time they hug or they kiss, he has to initiate, and he would love for her to initiate from time to time. She said she's going to work on that. Then Tasha brought up that Paul's dress sense, and just like, oh my God, I hadn't noticed that. At his wedding, he looked amazing. And she even acknowledged that you looked amazing at the wedding. But then since then, it's just been downhill, and since I've started styling you, a lot of people have commented about how amazing you look. So that was nice to see, and it was good to see that they were both receptive of constructive feedback, because they decided to call it constructive feedback. They didn't call it criticism, which was amazing. I think because how you label it determines how things move from there. And then next up was Ross and Thomas, my other favorite couple. And Ross was saying Thomas's hair is all over the place. And, the fact that Thomas doesn't like to use toys on her. And I love their sense of humor. And I love how sort of free and sort of they didn't take offense, just like Tasha and Paul. They didn't take offense and were very appreciative of the feedback, and they're going to work on it. And Thomas said, despite Ross spent the whole honeymoon moaning about how Thomas wouldn't cuddle her, and apparently she doesn't initiate cuddles. Thomas is the one who has to initiate. So it seems Thomas's, love language is similar in some aspects to Paul, because he also wants cuddles, and he's complaining that she's not cuddling him and he has to initiate cuddles. So that was sweet to see. And I like the fact that both couples sort of weren't serious about it and weren't offended about it and actually took it for what it was, constructive feedback, and agreed to work on it, which I thought was amazing. So we'll see how that plays out. And now we get to the trouble bunch. Next up is Laura and Arthur. And Arthur only had 2 points, which infuriated Laura because she wanted more. Anyway, Laura's issue with Arthur is the fact that he interrupts her a lot and he's got poor listening skills and, his little white lies. And he said he interrupts her because at times a thought comes to his mind and he doesn't want to lose it. So he has to say it out loud. And she was right to say, if you're going to behave that way and if I behave that way, then we would never finish a conversation because we would constantly be interrupting each other with any thought that comes to mind. We need to allow the other person to finish whatever they're thinking or whatever they're trying to say. And then you can go in. And he was happy with that. He then said his problem with her was he's someone who loves to work out. She said she wanted someone who's fit, but doesn't go to the gym with him. So, you said you would love her to go to the gym with him, which makes sense. It makes sense. And she sort of volunteered that she would do that. But then when he said she had mood swings, we are all ladies. Any lady that listens to this channel knows that at times we can be a bit, it depends on the time of the month. It could be her time of the month and she's going through her own internal crisis. So she's, all over the place. So I understand him saying that. I don't know what in particular she does. I think he should have given examples to her to say, I hate the mood swings because at times, you're just very abrupt or you don't want to talk or you just, he should have given examples of what he meant by that. And I think should have been more receptive. That was a totally different environment to how sort of Ross and Thomas or Tasha and Paul handled their situation. So it was interesting to see. And then we went on to Peggy and George, and Peggy had a list. She hates, she dislikes George's career aspirations. She thinks he's very insecure and also his hobbies and his passions. And it's like, so what do you like about him? That's him, though. He's told you right from day one, from the honeymoon, you knew what his career aspirations were. He knew about his hobbies and his passions. He told you about, his online gaming. So you had a choice. You could have not recommitted to him and gone home and found someone who's more aligned with you. Or maybe you should have told the experts that you wanted someone with said career goals or aspirations. That way you'd not have been saddled with this man. Make it make sense. Now you can see the cracks. You can see people who are putting lipstick on this pig and people who were actually committed to their relationship. I've always had a feeling that Laura and Arthur and Peggy and George are sort of playing up for the cameras. That's the impression that I get. But we'll see. Only time will tell. We'll see how it plays out. It's interesting that people who have a long list of things that they don't like about their partners, suddenly when the tables are turned, they become very defensive. Peggy is told by George that, he doesn't like that she's judgmental. And she says, well, she's not judgmental. The only thing she's judgmental is about his online gaming. Otherwise, everything else, she's fine. And it's like, Peggy, my love, we've watched you throw a fit because he said he didn't judge you for whatever you did with your body. So please sit down somewhere and keep quiet. Erica gets some in her feelings when she's told that she's harsh and she behaves as though she's better than her husband. This is not surprising. I think this is why some of the girls have a problem with her. People like Tasha. She comes across with this air. I know someone wrote in the comments that she went to a private school. That's not an excuse for you to be an ass. I'm sorry. That's not a good enough excuse for you to be disrespectful or disregard other people's feelings. Private school is not an excuse for ignorance. It's not an excuse for bad behavior. It's not an excuse for you to feel like you're better than. Someone might actually be, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Someone might be more intelligent, more articulate, more educated, have better sense of self, but they couldn't afford to go to a private school. So going to a private school is not an excuse for her to behave the way she behaved. I hate how defensive both Erica and Peggy became. It was totally different to the environment with Tasha and and with Ross, which makes me believe that these two girls have been sort of playing up to the characters or to the idea that they wanted to present to the experts every time they went to recommitment ceremony. I don't think they were being honest about their relationships because the cracks are showing. And now it's interesting. I wonder how Erica feels, because she said they were the best couple. I wonder how she feels now it's week 2 and she's had more time with Jordan. Does she still feel that they're the best couple? Or does she think that, no, actually they have work to do? And I think this is why she was being told, you need to calm down. You can't say you're better than anybody else without seeing where everybody else is coming from or without seeing everybody else's journey. Hey, but I digress. Next up is another of my favorite couples, Jay and Luke. And I like the fact that Luke has enough self-awareness to sort of realize that, you know, Jay might not be honest with him in regards the things that are going on around him. And I remember saying in one of my reviews, I feel like if he had been paired with someone like Portia, someone like Erica, someone like Laura, there would be a lot of fireworks because they would really tell him what they think and how they feel. So he's happy that they've been given this task because he feels like Jay has just been keeping quiet just to get along. And he did mention this to his friend, that he was worried that Jay wasn't being honest with him. So when they sit down, Jay, you can see she's nervous. She doesn't want to offend him because I think she really likes this guy. So she raises a concern that I did raise before, the fact that he's always giving his opinion when it's not necessary at times, when it's not his place to speak up. And so I think that sort of ties in with what he said, because he said she never tells him off. And I think and this is where the difference in communication styles comes into play, because if you look at Tasha and Paul, Ross and Thomas, Jay and Luke, they didn't take it to heart, but they used it as a learning opportunity and realized that what my person is saying in my best interest, not because they want to tear me down. It was totally different to how the other 3 couples, Laura and Arthur, Peggy and George, and Erica and Jordan, handled their situation. So it was nice to see that people would recognize, because Luke on his part said, I want someone who will tell me off, because otherwise I'll take a piss. I'll just continue to go on and go on and go on. So if you don't pull me back, I'm going to sort of get out of hand. If you feel that I'm sharing my opinions where it's not necessary, just tap me on the leg and then I'll know that, oh, it's time for me to stop, which is good. He realizes himself that, he does carry on. And the fact that his wife has said that's a problem for her, he's given her the power to sort of pull him back, because he might get carried away and forget. And so at least if she taps him on the leg, that's enough to make him stop and think, oh, she's not happy about this, I need to stop. So I love that about them. And also he said, he feels like Jay is not honest with her feelings. And she said, I'm a people pleaser. If she likes someone, she wants to get along. She doesn't want to rock the boat, so she's going to do anything and everything to make sure that her partner is happy. So I like the fact that Luke is able to recognize this and is bringing it up to Jay as a concern, and is empowering her that just because you like someone doesn't mean you have to put up with crap. You can speak up. You can tell them what you're not happy about. You can give constructive feedback as long as it's not coming from a malicious place. Then that other person will be happy to receive whatever you're saying. I loved that conversation. I thought it was sweet, and I thought it was nice to see, given the other 3 scenarios that we had seen. So with the other 2 couples, Adrian and Matt, and Mark and Sean, they are sent on a double date. And I think it's good that they didn't give them this love-hate task, because they're just starting out. They barely know their partner. They need time to sort of get to know their partner before they can take on this challenge. And I think this is the problem when you enter the experiment weeks later after everybody else has been in it. They do get questions to ask, and Mark still goes on about, oh, I'm afraid of being hurt, so I won't open up. And Sean is like, well, at times if you don't open up, then the other person is going to get tired. Which I said before, that Mark also needs to participate in this relationship. He needs to contribute to this relationship. He can't just sit there and wait for Sean to do everything, because Sean is going to burn out and he's going to check out and move on. And when Adrian is asked, she says she likes Matt's body, but also she is concerned that in social situations he tends to keep quiet. She's a social butterfly, but she has to understand that different people react differently in social situations. Some people are very loud and very communicative. Some people want to study the situation first before they speak. And some people like Jay just don't want trouble and just want peace. And so will keep their opinions to themselves unless they're called upon. And so I think, yes, it might be a problem for now, but I think she also needs to be sensitive, because on his part, Matt is saying, I just want to sit back and get to know people before I start speaking. And when he goes off with Sean, he sort of brings it up and says, it is a worry for him because he doesn't like to just speak just for the sake of it. He wants to be laid back, whereas Adrian is a social butterfly. And so I think it's a bit of work that they all need to do as both couples. And I think it's great that they brought these points up, but they now need to take time out and just work on the concerns they've raised and see how they can develop or grow as a couple. Oh my God, at times you just can't help but laugh. I think Arthur, when he put, I want someone to go with me to the gym, I think he was looking for something to write and just put it down, because he goes on the CrossFit cross trainer and he's barely there for a minute and he's already out of breath, he's exhausted, he wants to lay down, and it's like, unfit as I am, I could actually do 20-30 minutes of that. So I don't get how he was tired just after 1 minute. Make it make sense. Even Laura was laughing because she couldn't understand why he put something on his list that he wants to do that. And yet after 1 minute, he's exhausted. He wants a break and he wants a day's rest before they go back to the gym. Make it make sense. I like the fact that he's able to make her loosen up and she's able to find the humor in some of the things that he does, because someone else would have been upset with him to say, how dare you bring it up and yet you can't even do it yourself. So it was cute to see. And then we go back to Tasha and Paul. Oh my God, they're hilarious as well. So Paul comes up with this genius idea that, since Tasha said she doesn't like his dress sense and she wants him to work on it, so he's decided that she can pick out 3 outfits of his that he will never ever wear. And she goes for his favorite shirts and he is heartbroken. I like the fact that he was trying to be a salesman, trying to sell her on this black and white checks shirt. And it was cute to see. I like that he wasn't, someone else would have gotten their feelings and stormed off and thrown a tantrum, but he was trying to sort of laugh and find the funny side of it. And he was surprised that Tasha was so serious about it and she was really excited to be getting rid of his shirts. I hope, if nothing else, she goes and she buys him shirts to replace the ones that she's taken away. Sort of, that would be sweet. That would be sweet, in my opinion. There's nothing like seeing couples, be receptive of constructive feedback and sort of working on the things that they've been told by their partner. So Thomas knows how important, the toys were to Roz. So he actually went to the extent of going to a sex shop to buy some outfits, and he bought her a Bounty outfit. I like the fact that with the dildo, he said, I didn't want to buy anything bigger than myself, and it's hilarious. And then so it was cute to see. He bought her an egg, a vibrating egg. So that was nice. And then Roz decided to try on the outfit and you could see he was excited. It's nice to see the light-hearted side of Thomas. It's nice to see him step out of his shell. It's nice to see him excited, to see the things that make him happy. Once Roz had the outfit on, oh God, he went to town. He took her out, back to the bedroom, and God only knows what happened afterwards. He was saying she's going to be wearing that for a long time. I assume the producers had to leave because, things were getting extra steamy in the house. And I like this for them. I like the fact that they found their person that makes them comfortable, that makes them want to step outside of their, comfort zone, which Thomas said, Roz does that for him. He wants to be his best self for her. He wants to try new things. He wants to do things that make her happy, which I really love about them as a couple. And oh my God, I'm so excited. Ooh, there's trouble in paradise. You have Jordan and Erica still not talking after their love-hate challenge. Someone's touched a nerve, so they're not speaking to one another. And then the experts decide to arrange a meetup of the girls and of the boys, sort of just to catch up on the love-hate challenge and sort of discuss what they think about it and, where they stand with their partner or what was brought up. And As always, Erica's the first one to talk, and she talks about the fact that Jordan says she thinks she's better than him, but didn't give examples. And it's like, he did. He used the sense of humor challenge as a typical example. The fact that she thought, he had a bad sense of humor and his humor wasn't like her. And so for her to be surprised and to be offended and to lie to the girls that he didn't give examples, I don't get. I think she's very selective on what offends her or what she says. Same as the scenario with Tasha and Ella. She chose who she wanted to be offended by and who she didn't want to be offended by. Ella said exactly the same thing, but she wasn't offended by Ella's comments. She was more offended by Tasha. The same way she's offended by the fact that her husband has called her out for saying she behaves as though she's better than him. She did. On their wedding, she did. She was criticizing him and nitpicking and calling out what she didn't like about him, but he never said anything about her. So for her to meet up with the girls and say, oh, he's being petty, he's calling me out for this, and yet he's gotten examples. He gave you one example. Tell them the example he gave you, and then they can pick and choose whether or not you think you're better than him or not. Besides, when you met up with all the couples, you thought you as a couple were better than the others. So it's not coming out of the blue. You must have said or done something that he didn't want to say on camera that you know about, but have decided to play victim as usual. Make it make sense. So Jay brings up the fact that Luke said, he's worried. I think he's worried because he knows he's a big personality and he knows he can sort of take advantage if not called out. And he is right to say so. For Jay to say she's not toxic, that's not what he means. You don't have to be toxic to call someone out. You can just tell them the same way she told him she doesn't like that he's over opinionated. That's not being toxic, but that's just telling your partner, no, this is it, you need to stop, or you need to do a bit better in this sense. So I think he is right to tell her that. Case in point, the issue about the move. The two of them need to decide, are they going to move either to Essex or to move up north, or are they going to move halfway, so 2 hours each way, and sort of settle in the middle. That way they can still commute to see their friends and family and still stay as a married couple. I think that's what he means, and I don't get how Jay doesn't understand this and how she's decided to phrase it as him wanting her to be toxic. He brings out to George that he feels she's not being honest with her feelings. He feels like even if you were to do anything, well, the example he gave was bad. How can you talk about getting another girl's number when he knows that's one of Jay's insecurities? I think he should have just said, like, even if I shout at another couple, or if I come home drunk, or if I come home late, or if I don't come home, she would still not say anything because she doesn't want to rock the boat. I think the example he gave even had George's back up. Peggy and George both tell the groups that, their issue is his online thingy. And it's like, Peggy, if you wanted someone who's more sort of career-based and someone who works a 9 to 5, who's more formal, then you should have said so. You should have said so. They would have found you someone. You said you wanted someone who's outgoing, and that's what you got in George. You have to settle for that. George still feels some type of way. He's thinking that maybe Peggy's been playing him, and if she doesn't accept him as he is, maybe it's time for them to move on. And I think it is. I think they can only play up to be a happy couple for so long before everybody sees through the mess and actually calls them out for who they really are as a couple. It's cute to see Jay's reaction when Luke tells her that he likes that she's socially confident and that she lights up her room. When she's in a room, she's there because she's very bubbly, she's very social and outgoing, which he really appreciates, from her. And then we go to Laura and Arthur. Laura likes, that Asher is very vulnerable, his vulnerability and his pure intent, that he's very vulnerable, he's very open with her, and whatever he does, he's not doing it because he's coming from a malicious place. He's doing it because he's trying to, be as honest to help grow their relationship. He likes the fact that she's very kind with him, which is totally different to what Jordan was saying. So it comes across as though she's very kind and patient because he does have these shortcomings and is able to recognize that, and is able to appreciate that, which was good. Ross and Thomas. Thomas said he likes the fact that Ross is honest. And this is one thing that has helped them grow as a couple. And he acknowledges this because after they became sexually intimate at the start of their marriage, she was honest and said, I hold my hand up. We had sex, but it was because I was looking for a connection. I was looking for a spark. And so I was doing anything and everything to see if I could find it. And he really appreciates that. And she loves that. And so she initiates a hug because she knows how important they are to him. Tasha, says she loves the fact that everybody, I think people called Paul a mama's boy because of how close he was with his mom. And so she likes the fact that she comes from a family where she said this, that her family, they're not very emotional. They're not very, very expressive in how they feel about one another. So the fact that Paul, the way he behaves towards his mom and the way he calls and speaks to his sister, these are things that Tasha has picked up on, and she's actually acknowledged that this gives me hope that, if this marriage works and we eventually at some point have children, I know that my children will have a loving and caring father, which was sweet to see because you could see that Paul was happy. And he actually said he was happy that she noticed it because family is something that is very important to him. So he was happy with that. Erica and Jordan, well, they seem to be in a better place. She said, she likes that she feels safe and protected by Jordan, which we all saw when there was that fight at the dinner party. Jordan on his part said that she's caring, and it's like, how do you say she's caring and also say that she's very harsh with you? Make it make sense. Who is she caring towards? I didn't get that. I don't know whether he was just looking for something to sort of not trigger her or whether he was actually being genuinely honest. I did not understand that because it doesn't balance out. How do you say harsh and sort of caring in the same sentence? Or how do you use those terms to describe the same person? He didn't really... I don't remember hearing an example of what he meant by the fact that she's caring, but maybe that's just me. Hey, I digress. Lastly, we have Peggy and George. Am I surprised? No. Am I surprised about the drama? No. I saw this coming. Anyone saw this coming. Even a small child saw this coming. So you mean to tell me they've been married? This is now week 5, and they still haven't discussed, or Peggy still hasn't seen the video of Arthur. Make it make sense. That doesn't make sense. So she then gets to see this video of Arthur in what looks like a sort of a leopard print leotard. And she kicks off. She throws a fit. How dare you do that? That's embarrassing. You're behaving as though someone without a brain, you this, that. And it's like, why would you feel the need to do that? Why? If you don't like him, if you don't like his job, just break up with him. You don't need to criticize him for, what he does for a living. That's his business. He wasn't with you when he did that. Has he done anything like that since you got married to him? Has he told you that he will keep doing that? Have the two of you had any conversations in regards to what the future holds? And so for her to storm out wearing those jeans that are showing off her butt cheeks is a bit rich. It is a bit rich. I don't know. Peggy and George, I think, are just there to be on TV. They're just going to drag this marriage as long as they can. I think they want to be the breakout stars, as I said before, and they're going to milk this for all it's worth. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I don't think they're going to leave each other, even though George said this could be our make or break. I don't think they'll break up because of this. I think they're going to stay on the show, and this is going to be their topic of conversation for forever until the show ends. But I might be wrong. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one, and please click the link in my video for my review from episode 21. Bye guys.